It was just another sleepless night for Emily Lawson, a 28-year-old nurse from Chicago who had worked a double shift at the hospital. Her eyes burned from fatigue, her feet ached in the worn sneakers she never had time to replace, and her mind was foggy from the emotional weight of caring for patients who clung to life by a thread. The train car rocked gently as the late-night express headed out of downtown, half-empty, dimly lit, and wrapped in a hush that only the truly exhausted could appreciate. Emily slumped into a window seat, clutching her bag tightly against her lap, a habit born from years of navigating public transit at odd hours. She barely registered the man who sat beside her, save for a polite nod before her body finally gave in to the fatigue, her head slowly dropping, until it came to rest on his shoulder. She might have stirred in embarrassment if she'd had an ounce of energy left. But the warmth of that shoulder, the quiet rise and fall of a stranger's breath, lulled her deeper into sleep. In the land of dreams, there were no 4 lines, no flatlining monitors, no patients whispering final goodbyes. Just peace. But when she woke, everything changed. The train had stopped. Early morning sunlight streamed through the window. She blinked in confusion, realizing she had slept far longer than intended. Panicked, she sat up and looked around. The stranger was gone. In his place sat a folded note on her lap and a paper cup of coffee in the cup holder beside her. Her heart skipped. She unfolded the note with trembling fingers. "You look like you carry the weight of the world. So I thought you deserved a break. Paid your fare to the end of the line, bought you coffee, and left something that might help you breathe a little easier. Check under your seat. D." Startled, Emily reached beneath the seat. Tucked inside was a small manila envelope. She opened it cautiously. And gasped. Inside was a thick wad of cash, at least $2,000, and a second note. "I don't know your story, but I've seen that look before. I was there once. A nurse saved my sister's life 5 years ago when no one else believed she had a chance. You reminded me of her, exhausted, overworked, but still showing up. This isn't charity. It's gratitude. Use it for new shoes. A day off. Or something that makes you remember why you started. Pay it forward when you can. D." Emily's eyes filled with tears as she clutched the envelope to her chest. Her body shook, not from fear or confusion, but from a wave of emotion so overwhelming, she could barely contain it. This wasn't just a gesture. It was a lifeline. A reminder that she wasn't invisible. That even when she felt like the world had forgotten people like her, someone had seen her. Really seen her. She sat still for a long time after that, letting the coffee warm her hands, letting the kindness of a stranger thaw something inside her she hadn't realized had gone numb. It wasn't the money. It was what it meant. It meant that the late nights mattered. That showing up mattered. That kindness had a ripple effect far beyond what she could see in the emergency room. 2 weeks later, Emily walked into a small diner not far from the hospital. She ordered a warm meal for the first time in ages and paid for a table of EMTs behind her without them knowing. She left the change for the waitress with a note that said, "You're doing better than you think." Months passed. She got new shoes. Took a day trip to Lake Michigan. Laughed more. Slept better. But she never forgot that night, that man, or his shoulder that had held more than her head. It had carried her through one of the hardest moments of her life. She began keeping small envelopes in her bag. Not always with money, but with handwritten notes of encouragement, transit passes, gift cards to local coffee shops. She left them on benches, tucked them into books at the hospital library, slipped them into the lockers of her co-workers. Each one signed simply, E. One day, a new nurse named Julia stopped her in the hallway. "You left this in my locker, didn't you?" she asked, holding up one of the notes with trembling hands. Emily smiled. "Maybe." Julia's eyes welled with tears. "I was going to quit. I didn't think I was making a difference. That note changed everything." Emily placed a gentle hand on her shoulder, just as someone else once silently supported her. Sometimes, you don't have to know someone to change their life. That night on the train, she had fallen asleep thinking she was alone, burdened, unseen. but she woke up to a shocking surprise. Not just in the envelope beneath her seat, but in the revelation that even the smallest acts of kindness can spark a revolution of hope. In a world too often divided by difference, it's compassion that binds us. In every weary nurse, every silent commuter, every kind stranger, there's a chance to remind someone they matter.